Hello, this is the testing video for my computer science NEA project, Bullet Hell. I'll be going through my objectives one by one in order and showing you how they work. The primary objective of my program is to measurably adjust difficulty of a bullet hell shooter depending on the player's performance. So I'll be showing you how I've achieved objective 1. That's measurably adjust difficulty depending on player performance. So, loading into the gameplay environment, the default difficulty here is 50. That's just because I clicked automatic and I want a brand new save file. So essentially what the difficulty algorithm is doing is it's trying to make sure that the player dies or doesn't die just before the end of the level, right? So what we can do is, because we're playing well right now, we haven't been hit yet, the difficulty is increasing. So, and it will keep increasing if we keep playing well. So because right now we're at a point where we've only lost 1 life, but we're only a little bit into the level. So right now it's thinking that sounds about right, so it's going to leave the difficulty as it is, because if we keep playing at this performance level with this difficulty, then it's sort of estimating that we should just about make it to the end of the level. But if we start taking lots of hits all at once, then the difficulty, you can see, is already going down. So because the player is now performing worse, it's adjusting the difficulty down. So all you can see there is the difficulty number, but hopefully you can see from on screen what's happening is the actual size of the bullets. Even though they always look the same on screen, the hitbox that I've given them, so to speak, is now smaller because I'm playing on a lower difficulty, and the speed of the newly fired bullets is also slower. Okay, so what I'm showing you here is a game being played on difficulty level 100. So you can see there's a big step up in speed compared to difficulty level 50, and you'll also see that even though the player is currently playing fine, the difficulty does not increase past 100. So I'll now be showing you objectives 2 and 3 at the same time because they're very closely linked. Objective 2 is to allow multiple players to have their own save file, and objective 3 is to allow any new user to create a new save file with their username. Okay, so I'll now show you what saving and loading files looks like with the File Explorer open, so you can see exactly what's happening within the save files folder. So we can just enter NEA, and this will load us into our save. So I'll now show you what deleting your save file looks like when you have this open. We go into settings and we click delete save, and all this does is it goes into our folder, and you see just there it deleted that save. What we can now do is we can create a new save. Let's call it NEA. There's no save file found with given username. We say yes, create a new save file. Yes, that is our username. And you see a new save file has been created with the name save file NEA. So let's say we quit the program and we can relaunch, and I'll show you what it looks like when we have multiple save files saved, but there's only one that we can look at once essentially. So I'm going to create a new save file with my name, Tommy. There's no save file found given username. You just say yes, and it's created a new save file again with the save file name Tommy. I'll show you what we can do here is we can enter the username for either of these, and it will just immediately load that current save file. I'll now be showing you objective 4, and that's to allow a logged in user to change their control scheme from within the game. Okay, what I'll be showing you now is essentially before and after of when we change the settings of the user. So we loaded the save file NEA, and we're going to click on settings, and we're going to go change settings. So it won't change in real time, but after I close and open this save file I've just opened, we can see that it will change from the current default values where it says W, A, S and D, and it changed to whatever values for one. So I'm going to change the up bind to N, the down bind to E, the left bind to A, and the right bind to X. So now what I'm going to do is close this and then reopen it here, and you can see the binds that we have been changed to N, A, E and X. And I'll be showing you objective 5, and that's to create a menu system for the game. So just very quickly, I'll be running you through the menu system for my solution. So the first thing users prompt with is the login system, so they can enter their username. I'm going to input Tommy. So we can create a new save file here. And here is the main menu, and I've been passed out of the login class and into the main menu class. So we have play settings and quit. If we go into settings, then we can say delete save, change settings and back. Change settings looks like this. If we go, if you fill it with save now, then just delete the save. I showed you that before. I'll go back, play settings and quit. If you input quit, it closes the program. If I input my username again, it loads immediately in. If I go to settings, and I go delete save, it just wipes out save. So I've showed you all the settings and what quit does. So now if I click play, we have options of level 1, level 2 and level 3 and back. If I press back, it just goes into this. If I press play again, I'll just choose level 1. We have the options of automatic or select difficulty. Automatic will load the difficulty associated from our file, and settings in select difficulty, what that will do is we can just input whatever difficulty you want from 1 to 100. So I realised in editing I didn't actually show what happens if you input a value for select difficulty. So if I just enter 20, then it'll bring us into the gameplay environment with a set difficulty of 20. Okay, so this is objective 6, to create a scoring system that is impacted by player performance. This is actually incredibly simple in the way I've done it, so I'll load level 3 and just use the automatic difficulty. So score is essentially whatever it is now. Okay, so your current score is impacted. Okay, so there are two ways you can gain score, and that's by, well, first is surviving, and the second is by picking up score points, and you'll see every 10 ticks some score falls, and that's this here, this little blue diamond. And you pick up that, you gain a small bonus to score, but the main way that you gain score, as you can see already, is just by surviving. So what happens is every tick, your score is updated by the current difficulty, and because the difficulty is impacted by performance, that means that the score is also impacted by performance. So the better a player is playing, the harder their difficulty would be. The harder their difficulty is, the higher the score is. And so just by surviving for a long period of time, you'll gain score, and that's how you get score in this game. Okay, I'll now be showing you objective 7, create a system allowing for the loading of multiple different levels the player can choose from. So this is the levels folder, and I'll just open each of these levels in Notepad so you can see what they are. Okay, so we have level 1, level 2 and level 3, and they're in order that they are on the screen. So level 1 is on the top, level 2, then level 3. Okay, so the format of these files is, they all start with the length of the level, that's here 1000, that's in ticks, so that's like one frame is one tick, so this will last 1000. Then these values comes in sets of 2, so you can see there's 120, 230, 240, 150, and what those are, it's the enemy type and the tick that it will spawn on. So this is saying to spawn enemy of type 1 at tick 20, an enemy of type 2 at 30, and so on and so on and so on. When we get to the end, we have these. You could put these anywhere, but I just put them at the end to readability. So it's this Danmaku prefix. So it's saying add this to the Danmaku list. It's a Danmaku of type 1, Danmaku of type 2, Danmaku of type 3. And all that will do is, when the game is loading this set level, it will say you have to have a Danmaku of this type, and it will just load it in. And these don't have a tick that they fire on or spawn on, because the frequency and when the Danmaku fire is dependent on difficulty and not set in the level. It's the same here for level 2, and it's the same here for level 3. So this is saying level 3 is saying spawn enemy of type 2 at 2, type 2 at 20, type 2 at 23, type 2 at 25, and you have 3 Danmaku of type 1. And this is 3 Danmaku of type 2, so on and so forth. So I'll now be showing you loading different levels. I won't play that level 3 to completion, so I'll just close the program and then reopen it. So level 1, we'll just go automatic. And we should see, so we know from our file here that the first enemy that should spawn is an enemy of type 1 on tick 20. So there you go, on tick 20, and then we spawn, it's a type 1, that's why it's a square. And then we know that the next enemy that should spawn is an enemy of type 2 at 30. And we also know, because we're coming up at that point now, that the first Danmaku that should fire is a type 1. Then it should be a type 2, then a type 3. So there we go, we hit tick 30, and another enemy spawned, and this one's of type 2, that's why it's a triangle. So we'll go to the first or second Danmaku that gets fired. So you see the enemies spawn in accordance with the things, so we know that, there you go, there's the first Danmaku that spawned, and that's dependent on difficulty and not on it's not dependent on the save file. So the save file does not influence when the Danmaku fire, just which Danmaku fire. So there you go, so all 4 enemies have now spawned, and we'll just play until we see the second Danmaku fire. There you go, there's that second one. So the first one that fired was a type 1, and this is a type 2. Yeah, so that's what level 1 looks like. So we'll load in again, we'll go level 2 this time. We'll just go automatic. So we know when we read off level 2 that the first enemy, they should all be type 1, so only type 1 enemies should spawn. And they should spawn at tick 20, 30, 40 and 50, and we know that only type 2 Danmaku should fire. So there's the first enemy, type 1, second enemy, that's type 1 as well. Third enemy is type 1 as well, and we'll see, there you go, there's a type 2 Danmaku that just fired. And we'll see the next one as well, it's a type 2 as well. So we have 4 enemies, they all spawned at the right time, and they're all type 1. You see there's the second Danmaku that fired. So that's it for level 2. So I'll now show you level 3. So we know we can read out level 3 now. So we know that there should be only type 2 enemies that spawn. They should spawn at tick 2, tick 20, 23 and 25. We know that only type 1 Danmaku should fire. So we just see, there you go, immediately one spawns, and the next one that spawns should be on tick 20. There's the other one. There's the other one as well. So all 4 enemies are now spawned at the right time, of course. There's the first type 1 Danmaku. And there's that second one. So we'll leave it there. That's it for levels, really. Okay, I'll now be showing you the results of Objective 8, create a gameplay environment for a bullet hell style shooter. You've seen out the gameplay before, so this will just be me going through what the gameplay screen is, the menu, different sprites, and explaining what exactly we see on the screen. So this is the gameplay environment, and as you can see, it's we have a menu to the side here with our lives, difficulty, high scores, survived, and our score. This is sort of outside the board. So this is the car array that I've been talking about, and it's kind of all contained within here. And it's printed out, and there's a border on top. So there's a line that's printed on top, a line that's printed on the bottom, and then this border printed before and after here. So this gameplay environment, we have our player that's highlighted in green that we can move around with our keys. We have enemies that are in purple and they fire bullets that are in red. We have score that drops down and that's blue. And these all things have different sprites. It makes it a bit easier to read. So we have these enemies that fire bullets, and then whenever I get hit, you'll see that at the top directly above me, you'll see that a life spawns, and that's blue to indicate it's a pickup, and it's a heart shape to indicate that it's a life. So as you can see there, we've now lost a life, and if we go and pick that up, we'll be able to get our life back. So this really is the extent of the gameplay environment. You'll see whenever we get hit by a bullet, a life spawns, and this bullet turns green to indicate that it's inactive and it's no longer a threat. It used to be that bullets could hit you twice, but now that's disabled. So a single bullet can only hit you one time. And that's really all the gameplay environment is. Each frame, each time the user sends an input, it runs through the gameplay loop method. It does all those processes, so it checks if the player's dead, it checks if they're colliding with anything, it checks what they're colliding with. It ensures that bullets move how they should, it ensures pickups move how they should, and it checks if there's anything that starts to spawn yet. For example, it could be Danmaku, it could be an enemy, things like that. And that happens on every single frame. It checks if it needs to do anything. If it does, like there, it will spawn a Danmaku. That's really the extent of the gameplay environment as it stands. Okay, and I'll be showing you Objective 9, and that's to update the player's save file with their high score and new difficulty setting. After a play session, the save file should be updated if the player has scored a new high score and with their new difficulty. Okay, for this demonstration, I'm going to be playing on the already created save file called Tommy. I'll open that now, and you should be able to see what's currently being saved on it. So in order, we have the username, the high score, our binds, and then our difficulty. So when I'm playing the game, I'll be able to load this save file. Just go on play, go up on 3. And we'll just go on automatic for now. So because we loaded automatic, it's reading our difficulty directly from our save file. So it says 48, and that's correct. Our high score is displayed as 5,813. So what I'll have to do now is to show you both of them updated, and I'll have to score higher than 5,813, and then die with a difficulty that's not 48. So the game ends either when you hit tick 1000 on this level, because that's the length of the level, but also when you run out of lives, which should be too hard for me. So what I'll do is I'll just take lots of hits with a score above 5,813. And then I will close down the program, and I'll reopen my file, and what it'll do is it'll now display, or it should now have saved, the new difficulty as well as the new high score. So if I just get hit now, okay, I failed, so I'll quit out of this, close down this, and now the last thing we saw was a high score of 8,332 and a difficulty of 46, and those have been correctly updated in the save file. And that's what Objective 9 does. It takes the high score that you achieved and it saves it to your save file, but it also takes the difficulty, no though it increased, like, it doesn't matter if it's increased or decreased, it'll still save it to your save file, because this means that you're performing worse essentially than you were before. So it's decreased the difficulty to make it easier on you.